Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So let's get into this. Leos, what do we have in the topic of love? Oh, Leo, we just started out with that 10 of Cups and an Ace of Pentacles. Leo, do we have kind of a real wish coming true? I don't know if somebody has hazel eyes or green eyes or golden eyes. Um, but I definitely feel like our Leo, if they've never found that happily ever after, I'm going to say that they haven't. That's what's coming in for Leo. This would be unlike the kind of happiness Leo has known. It doesn't mean Leo hasn't had a good life. It doesn't mean Leo hasn't had, romances in their lifetime. But what's coming next is going to knock everything else out of the water. This is not like what Leo has known before. This is an entirely like, I didn't know it could be like this. I feel like I want to say, um, if you've only ever slept on really broken down, bad, old, spring mattresses, and then one day you get like the really nice, I love a foam mattress, like the solid, like come in a box mattresses are my favorite. They're the best I've ever had. And it's like, oh my God, you didn't know sleeping could be that nice. That's what I'm likening this to, is it's going to be like, I slept every night in a bed and I thought that's just how sleeping was, until you get good sleep on a really comfortable bed. And then you're like, I had no idea. It's day and night different. I had dated people before. I even said I loved people before, but I didn't know love could be like this. This is brand new for Leo. This is not something Leo will have had before. They're going to be surprised by this. And Leo's freaking out. I don't know. I don't know. What do you mean it's going to be different? I kind of know what to expect. What do you mean it's going to be something different? What if I don't like it as much? With that Nine of Swords, we have, doesn't matter if Leo's kind of freaking out or not, because the page in the book of life has turned any way we slice it. Life is changing, transforming. Things are moving in a different direction. And that's just, what life does. Life transforms, life changes, life moves on. So of course, Leo is moving on. Leo is moving forward. That Page of Cups speaks of love, speaks of, a new way to look at their own life. They've got a couple books of life, by the way, but this one, Leo's in the middle of their life somewhere and perhaps about to turn a page. I mean, we're kind of in Leo season, so maybe it's like Leo's saying, no, at this age, there's no way that I'm having this brand new chapter written. Yes, it doesn't matter if Leo is turning 82 years old. This is still a love story that is opening up for Leo that is unlike others that they have had. Excuse me, I'm going to cough again. Sorry, guys. I'm still kind of settling down from some asthma flares. We got the Hanged Man upright. We keep seeing Leo say, I just don't know that I'm ready for this. I mean, I didn't even say that I wanted to open myself up to this big new love story, and especially a whole different style than what I've been accustomed to. Yes, but what if, what if somebody said you are going to have the most fabulous place to live, but right now it still is under construction, and it might be not until you're 80 that your fabulous mansion will be ready for you. But someday you get to live in that fabulous mansion. Would we be like, no, I mean, never mind. It took too long to get here. I'm not interested. It just took too long. So now forget it. I'll just go ahead and keep, ignoring the fact that something that was promised to me a long time ago is finally here. No, we probably would say, well, bring on the mansion. That's great. This is like the best chapter in Leo's life as far as romance goes. And if Leo is tempted to be like, I don't know that I really want to do this because it's going to be different. It's going to be like, maybe this Leo's kind of burned out on the concept of love. Maybe they've created like a certain amount of stability in their life. And they're like, look, I'm not even looking for romance. I've become content with what I have. I've become content sleeping alone. But and of course, Leo has a right to say no, thank you. But Leo does need to establish, why do they keep wanting to reject it? Because we have that Five of Wands where it's like, I'm fighting myself, going round and round and round, instead of just being willing to walk through the doorways of prosperity and happiness. all of this feels like Leo's, struggling with the concept of this. They're struggling with, am I really okay with this? Do I really want to do this? I kind of think deep down Leo does, but they're almost afraid to hope that something could be so lovely. We never know what's around the next bend in life, right? And of course, this is a fictional story about a fictional character. But again, who knows what's out there for Leo? Who knows what amazingness exists for our Leo? We have a King of Wands upright. We have a Two of Swords sideways. Why not say, all right, universe, what is in my greatest and highest good? The thing that I have never imagined for myself. I couldn't possibly imagine how stellar it is, but you want to send it to me? Sure, I'll receive that. Thank you, universe. That sounds lovely. Why not just open up to that? With the Two of Swords sideways, it's like, I can maybe, stop blocking that. Sure. Why don't I welcome that in? That kind of sounds really nice, maybe really sweet. Maybe I would kind of love this. Okay. Ace of Wands sideways. See, I feel like we're getting all this mixed energy. Leo can't quite believe that they would have something so special. Leo can't quite believe that this is a new chapter opening for them. They're tempted to not want to believe it or open up to it simply because I think that they don't want to get disappointed. But I think ultimately this is more about Leo just surrendering and saying, hey, why turn down, a winning lottery ticket? Why turn down a really fabulous inheritance? Why turn down a gigantic gift that is coming my way? All right, fine. I didn't ask for it. I didn't demand it. I do not think that this Leo has been trying to manifest it. I think that this Leo has reached a point in their life where they're quite content with whatever their day-to-day looks like and feels like. They're content. But this whole storyline says, Leo, there's like an amazing match. Someone Leo couldn't have fathomed that they would meet. I don't know if this person comes from far, far away. I don't know if they're going to be like a starseed. I don't know if they're going to be, maybe from Egypt or, from a culture that maybe Leo themselves does not hail from. That we do have mystery here. It could be like this is almost like science fiction, the fact that I could meet this person who could be so tailor-made for me, because like where the heck have they been my whole life? But we have this amazing, let's just look at the King of Wands. We have this amazing person. Five of Swords, Justice. Okay, so he's not magic and he's not somebody who comes from, some otherworldly space. He's very much a person who has his own life story of hurt and pain and being done wrong and being left and having his own scars and wounds. He's had conflict. He's probably been married and divorced himself. I would say definitely married and divorced himself. He may have been painted as the villain. He has his own life story here that has not been terrific. Let's change decks. Continue on with him for a second. It made him hold his energy back for maybe a long time. Withdraw, withhold. And yet with the sacred masculine, which is the Emperor, we have him probably not having dated in quite a long time, and then pieced himself back together and become a very, he's more than a King of Wands. He's an Emperor. He's at a place in his life where he would once again, I think he's been single for at least 4 years, by the way. But he's in a place where I think he would like to have long-term partnership, companionship, long-term something here. He would like to have that now. Action of Wands. And he might actually be seeing himself as single, seeing himself as somebody who's ready to adventure into love. How are you going to be meeting Leo? Or do you already know Leo exists? Or is this going to be chance and happenstance that you meet Leo? Leo could be doing a bit of traveling. We got the Chariot with the Ten of Swords. I feel like Leo's coming across in this storyline as a very bold, adventurous, and solo, independent, possibly feminine, who's also rocking a little bit of, that balance of the divine masculine and feminine energies, because she's got kind of like the deer antlers that we'd see on a buck. Definitely very fertile, as Leo could have a decidedly, like, I don't know if they're born in the 70s or they got a 70s style or they love like 70s music or something. But there's definitely like a 70s vibe. They could be, our Leo could be very into things like astrology, because the license plate says cosmic, which I always think is a nice extra touch on this card. They could be very aware of, like, maybe this Leo connects more with like a Cancerian placement somewhere in their chart. Cancerian energy is that, the emotions of things, and sometimes the Cancerians go into their little shell. And I'm wondering if Leo's like, yeah, I can be, somebody who protects myself, but I can also be somebody who's got a ton of emotions. This is somebody very balanced emotionally, but I do feel like Leo, perhaps has kind of like developed a real passion, a real love for, I mean, maybe it is, maybe they're an astrologer, maybe they've developed a real love for certain topics in their life. We've got that 10 of Swords. This Leo also said that they were done with the whole topic of life. They didn't want to deal with certain things, like specifically some painful things. They decided, I'm not interested in certain things that, hurt my heart, that bother me. I'm not interested in certain things anymore. And yet, even with this pain, even with this kind of, I'm not going to say strange, it's not really strange. It's just whatever Leo has been through, they have learned to like step back. You notice how we have the big eye up above, and remove themselves from a hurt and a pain. I think Leo is going to encounter this person, but Leo might be quite standoffish. They seem to be traveling, and so too does Leo. This could just be two people that are emotionally, ready to move forward in life. But Leo kind of watches things from a distance. They don't relive hurt and pain, but at the same time, this Leo's a little bit aloof, or a little bit guarded, perhaps. And we have the nurturer of coins. I don't know if these two are going to meet while traveling for work, or if they're going to meet and there's some kind of like grounded capacity. I feel like they meet each other like either like when they're not at home when they meet. Like they could be outside of where they normally live. This could be two people meeting each other on a vacation. Oh, I'm just passing through. I was just staying at this hotel tonight. I was stopping to get gas at a gas station. It's like I'm doing something that makes me more grounded. There could be an exchange of money, but however Leo meets this person, it feels like it's going to be something's very grounded. And that's the moment where they can both like make that eye contact. And then Leo's like, no, I'm not making eye contact. I'm looking away. They can look at me. That's fine. But I'm not talking to them. Because Leo's really resistant on all of this. We've got the nurturer of cups sideways. Here's the thing. This would be the Queen of Cups, by the way, and it is sideways. Even if Leo tries to act like they don't notice this person, this king, this emperor person, I feel like Leo's warmth. Now we go back to maybe Leo has a strong Cancerian placement, because I think Leo has a hard time not being warm. I think it's so much in their nature, because this is like my kindness is oozing out anyway. I said I wasn't going to talk to people. I'm not here to talk to people. I'm only here on my little journey. I'm gassing up my car on my road trip. But now here I am having this dialogue with this person because they can't help it. Like, I'm not really unfriendly. I feel like that's kind of the vibe that comes out of Leo. It feels more like these two are going to meet each other on one hand, because the universe has already said, Leo, you do know there's somebody amazing out there for you. You know that you've just turned a page in your life. Can we pause for just a second and say, how is it and why is it that Leo has just turned that page in their life? I'm still trying to figure out, because Leo has seemed so resistant. So I can't imagine that it's because Leo's been asking for that. We have a 10 of Wands because Leo's let go of some burdens. We have the 6 of Cups and we have the 7 of Swords. Okay, so I think we have a very single Leo that we've been talking about in this story. And this Leo has fully healed and, kind of felt good again, maybe for the first time in a long time. And deep down, even if this Leo hasn't admitted it to themselves, because they definitely haven't with that 7 of Swords over here, this Leo still believes that there's soulmates out there. Would even maybe like to enjoy the company of someone, even if they're like, no, I'm just living my best life right now. I'm single. I'm fine with that. Yes, but just like Leo tries to ignore when they meet this emperor, and then Leo's natural state of like warmth and emotions just, they can't, you can't contain who you really are. You can insist that, I'm ignoring everybody. I'm only here to do such and such. But then Leo walks into a grocery store and they can't help but have like little conversations and, help the little grandma to access some stuff higher up on the shelf and, have, wave at somebody who's shopping with their kid and then, having a little conversation with the checker and noticing that the checker has a, something wrapped around their wrist. And Leo probably, asks about that checker's wrist. I feel like Leo can't help themselves. Even if they go in and they're like, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm only here to do what I came to do. I don't think Leo can help but ooze some kind of kindness. That's just who they are. There's this emotional interest and connectivity that Leo has to other people, as much as they're like, this whole storyline, I feel like all I've done is fight with, with Leo saying, no, no, no. But then at every turn, we keep seeing a Leo who's just too sweet and too kind and too beautiful of a person to not pay attention to other human beings that walk this earth. This is a really awesome character. Of course, these are all fictional stories, but I would say, to me, this makes perfect sense. It's very understandable that someone, is a really kind person, but has stopped actively saying, oh, I'm looking for a partner, I'm dating somebody, I'm going to go find somebody. Instead, this is a Leo who's like, I'm totally fine with the way my life is. But ultimately, they know better. They know that there's other great people that are on this earth. It's just this Leo doesn't want to like get their hopes up and then be disappointed by somebody. So they don't let themselves go down fantasy lane. But on the other hand, I think it's time that Leo's subconscious is gravitating them toward meeting the person that is right for them. I actually think maybe that's why this can be such a remarkable and well-suited relationship, because this is where two individuals, like subconscious energies, are drawn toward each other more so than, we can go out and we can say, I'm going to go date somebody, and we can find a date, if we're not going to be picky, not going to be selective, any day of the week. This is a Leo who was saying the exact reverse. I'm not looking for anyone. I don't want just a random somebody. I feel like it's better that Leo is not consciously projecting this, but instead their subconscious is gravitating them towards someone. Eight of Swords. I definitely think Leo's conscious mind is their biggest barrier to like acknowledging that this king, this emperor, is maybe a really great person, and maybe they're meeting this person for a reason. Maybe they even called this person in. Remember, it's a King of Wands / emperor, and we've got Leo just needing to consider, wait a minute, what if I subconsciously would like to have met a King of Wands and now I'm meeting them? Am I really going to reject that? Or has something in my subconscious known that they were out there all this time and now's the right time in my life that I'm meeting them? Maybe I should go ahead and say, let me be my best self. An amazing person's trying to talk to me. Why don't I just go ahead and start chit-chatting? I think Leo, in spite of what they promised themselves they didn't want, I think Leo realizes that their subconscious has known all this time that this king was out there and that they would meet this king. Oh, I loved this one. You guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up. Bye.